There we go. Welcome everybody. It's Unstoppable Streletsy. We are going to be having our second tier list creation together. Before we do that, I figured I'd put up the one we did last time up here so we know what it's all about, right? This is the template we did for patch 1.1.1D, right? So this one we're going to be doing this time is going to be for patch 1.1.2A. Yeah. So before we do that, I gotta share this stream with everybody who could help us probably and contribute to the tier list just about. Yep. I'll put this here. And then where else? Over here, I think. Oh yeah, I got a little bit of good news. My mouse pad's working again. I didn't think it was going to because it wasn't working this morning. So yeah, I probably got a minor battery issue. I'm going to try to milk it as long as I can, though. Costs a lot of money. It's going to take time and money to get repaired, so definitely I'm going to try to hit the 1,000 subscriber mark and get monetized before I even think about getting that in for service. Thankfully, where I bought this PC, I can, what's the word? I can get a loaner one that has as much performance as the one I got, so yeah, I'll probably have a replacement of some kind if I do get it repaired, which is good. Yeah, because now this is, once I hit that 1,000 subscriber mark, it's safe to say that this is a type of employment I do, right? I earn money from it, so yeah, it's important that I can keep up with it and keep getting content to everybody that loves the channel. Yeah, all Wars of Liberty stuff, Definitive Edition stuff, Stick Empires, and PvZ Heroes, all that. And more to come, too. Saying on the Wars of Liberty server, it's tier list time. Yeah, it's that time again, where we have to construct some sort of a tier list. Hopefully we get a lot of people to contribute and put their thoughts in, otherwise I'm just going to ramble by myself for an hour. And that's fine, but, it definitely helps when you got an extra set of eyes to make sure everything looks solid. Yep. The official AoE server. You can see it, right? You can see the tier list in the OBS, right? Yep. Good. That's the one we did for, last patch for everybody coming in, just so we have a point of reference. Once we're ready, I'm just going to reset it, and then we're going to do it from scratch, so we don't have any biases going in, just to see where the cards fall exactly. Here. And then we got to go, let me see where else. Here. And here. Good. Wonderful. And where else? I mean, probably could put it in here. Yeah. Might be good. And probably, yeah, we could do the Sunbros. Maybe they'll be interested in it. Who knows? There we go. Yep. Perfect. I think that's everybody we need, right? And then some? Yeah, I think so. So how's everybody today? Doing good, everyone? I'm doing pretty good myself. There we go. Alright. Perfect, alright. For some reason the tab wasn't showing there before. Now it's showing again. Alright. That's good. That's very good. For some reason my YouTube Live control panel is all whited out. I don't know why, but that's fine. That's fine. How long do you think we should give until we start to go through all this stuff together? Like 5-10 minutes? Give everybody time to warm up and review their Wars of Liberty facts so we can put this thing together. Yeah. I'm just looking over the tier list from last time now, myself, thinking, how are we going to actually put this one together exactly, I mean, I can already see some that probably aren't going to change at all, and then I know other ones that will change, Yeah, definitely. Let me look at the Discord, actually. I got an idea. I got an idea of something we can reference. Let me see. Something that might help us out here a bit. Let me see if I can get it, though. Look at the news. Wool news, right? This one, alright. There we go. So I got an idea. Why don't we have the latest patch notes up too, so we can actually reference this back and forth as needed? Yeah, that would be a pretty good idea, don't you think? Yep, definitely. There we go. So if we need to reference it at all, we can. Perfect. Perfecto. Alright. Yep, these are the patch notes, so if we have to look at it all, we can. According to what we saw yesterday in the games, I'm pretty sure of two of the S-tier still, Zulu and Germany. I could probably confirm. I can confirm that 100%. Yeah, I don't think we're changing that at all. Zulu S-tier still, Germany S-tier still. I think a lot of them. I think most of the S-tiers are going to stay where they are. I mean, we could look at this patch right now and see what it does real quick. I'm going to guarantee you, when we look at these patch notes here, that most of the stuff that took place here was generally buffs, right? So, yep, Chinese will have to study this sort of stuff to see what it does. The improvement of defensive buildings for Asian civs that have fort-like wonders like Korea and India. What else? This being fixed. This is probably a buff I'd even notice. See how this affects things. This is going to be the big part of this tier list, how this affects everything. And by the way we're going to run this is we're going to assume, if you will, that the Spanish immigrants have Corios in Age 2. Because right now they're bugged and are in Age 3, but by the next hotfix or two, they're going to be in Age 2. And thus you'll be able to actually use the Spanish immigrants' military right from the get-go. So that's what we're going to presume here between now and the next hotfixes. So that's what we're going to be basing our stuff on. What else? Yep, this is pretty good. This is another buff. Let me see. Polish immigrants were buffed up. Scandinavians too. Argentina was buffed up pretty good. Brazil as well. I don't know about this. If this does work now, that's phenomenal. Yep, this is just mostly visual and some rework stuff. This I don't think is a huge deal, personally. I'm not going to really put Uruguay down because of this, because, most of the time in most of the matches, you're not queuing up that many dynamite cannons, so I didn't think that was a huge problem. Light cannon got more range. That's pretty significant, actually. That'll make them more like actual culverins, which is going to put them ahead of a lot of the LAM civs and anti-artillery defense. Yeah, so we got a lot of stuff to look at here. Big time. Yeah. Lots of stuff. Once it's about the 10-minute mark on the stream, we will reset this thing and start working and start plugging away at it. We can do it in the same order we did last time, too, to keep it consistent. I mean, I'm presuming the next time we ever do a tier list, there's probably going to be more civs onto this list, probably from ME or something, so that'll be fun. That'll definitely be interesting. Unless they have a really big patch idea like this one, they end up running again before that, which is totally possible. I don't know. Yeah. I wasn't expecting them to come up with the new immigrant option. That was like a huge quality of life thing that they did. Creating new immigrants, because we sort of all thought that they were at the end of the line of making new ones, but no, they made a new one. And they actually gave it to practically everybody except if you were black, in the case of Haiti, right? Discrimination. But I guess you could argue that there's a lot of black in Brazil, so Yeah, as a counter argument to that. Yeah. So yeah, we're at the 10-minute mark now, so let's reset this thing. Let's say goodbye to the old and say hello to the new. There we go. Alright, I'm going to scroll this down a bit so we can see all the flags. There we go. And just so you're aware, this duplicate United States flag that's in this tier list randomly we'll use to represent Persia, which is playable if you mess around with your home city files. So we'll consider that to be Persia. We're going to start here and go up this way because I like Zulu, and that's one of my favorite civs in this mod. So that's what we're going to do, alright? Okay, so first is first, where do we put the Zulu civ? Zulu civ, as Redco correctly pointed out, is going in S tier. This is an obvious one. If you didn't see the match last stream that was yesterday, you'll know why Zulu is an S tier civ. Yes, they are good at aggro. Yes, they are good, overall with their military and everything. But what makes Zulu really good is the fact that they can spam heavy artillery, even better than Germany can. Yeah, that's the trick I wanted to show you all, because not a lot of people are fully aware of that unless they're veteran Zulu players for years and have been using their maturing system for a very long time. Zulu can easily amass 20, 30, 40 heavy cannons called mountain guns in Africa against their opponents, something no other civ can do with that magnitude. And here's the catcher. I didn't show it in as much depth because Gilder and Nick did such a good job pressuring me, but if you have an army of like 180 infantry and you have a bunch of youths flying around, like 30 of them, you can turn them all into heavy cannons and they'll all spawn in. It's literally insane. Like, you could have 30 heavy cannons and a whole army of infantry to protect them as Zulu. One of the biggest armies you could produce in a single game. It's actually on level with Bolivia. So, yeah, Zulu was good in the early game, obviously, very clearly, because of their very quick attack. And then they're even good in the late game, which nobody thought. Everybody thought that Zulu would maybe get harder in the late game because they're micro-intensive. They don't have, you didn't think they had the best units, but turns out they got one of the best armies in the late game because of their heavy artillery massing ability. Something no other civ can do on that magnitude, And if other civs do try to copy that of that magnitude, they usually can't have any protection for it. They have to do an imperialist supportive role. Zulu can have a full army of infantry to push and protect and have artillery all by themselves, so a one-man army. Unmatchable. So there's my verdict on Zulu. Any opposers to that, or do we all sort of know why Zulu is an S-tier civ now? Yeah, and I think they're probably going to maintain that status until the African rework, and then we're going to have to reassess them. Once all these African civs start getting reworked, then we're going to have to look back and see, alright, is Zulu maintaining that through a different way, or are they still somehow staying up there? Yeah. Should be very interesting indeed to find out, right? Oh yeah, most definitely. So now we're going to go on to Uruguay if there's no objections to that, right? Nobody's objecting to my position on that, right? If you do, just write something in that chat and I'll look over it and either support it or deny it. Yeah. So now we got Uruguay, right? So Uruguay, last time we had Uruguay as B tier, right? Now, I think it is probably safe to say, at least from what I think, and I might be jumping the gun on it, but I think, let me see, I think Uruguay can go into the S tier category now. I have multiple reasons for this. First reason, I severely underestimated Uruguay's ability to counter S-tier civs when I did the last tier list. Turns out there's a lot of S-tier civs that we have, like Dutch, like Germany, other ones, depending on who's in control of the civ, where Uruguay can absolutely destroy them now. Yeah. I did not know that. I fought Louise Kives or a very brilliant and very skilled player playing as Dutch, who knows how to use flankers perfectly, and completely cooked him using Uruguay. And it's like, wait a second, this is an S tier civ. This is like super easy, Same thing. You can destroy Japan. You can destroy a lot of the civs we considered to be S tier before, so it's only fair that we put them in S tier. Not to mention now, they get the Advanced Immigrants card, which gives them another immigrant option. It actually opens the way to Polish immigrants being more viable as well as German immigrants. So not only does Uruguay have to play the Musketeer route with the Gallego Janissaries, but they can go with the Diabo Uhlans or the Polish Danube Legion Grenadiers now, because they'll be able to use the Spanish Croyo battalions to add a bit of anti-cav into the mix. Yeah, also Polish immigrants in H2 were buffed, right? One of their technologies gives you 4 Uhlans now, which is a lot more useful, and their other card now upgrades immigrant units alongside the mercenaries and the outlaws. So, I mean, yeah, Uruguayan units can be even stronger than they previously were in the late game. You have the option of going anti-infantry or anti-cavalry in a 1v1 now, which it wasn't as easy to do before. I think Uruguay is a great S tier civ now, but in a fair way. Back in the day, when Uruguay came out, they were in S tier for the wrong reasons, because their concept was utterly broken, destructive, toxic. Now, it's actually fair, because now they're using all the same immigrant units that everybody else uses, just that they can train them using their resources instead of, the normal Juanito stuff. Basically, literal diversity in their armies is how they win, without necessarily making them OP or anything. They get a few combat cards for the immigrant stuff, but that's about it, They get combat, they get hit points, and then they get attack, and then, of course, the Polish will be able to upgrade them now a bit too. Yeah, so there you go. I think Uruguay is an S tier civ because of its flexibility and ability to handle various S tier civs with relative ease. I don't know how far in the S tier they're going to be, but I'm assuming, at least for right now, we're going to have them behind Zulu, because I feel like a Zulu attack done properly will destroy Uruguay. So it's, at least from what we're considering now, I think a lot of the hyper aggro civs still have a shot at disrupting Uruguay quite a bit. Probably even Ethiopia still, with their whole Degradados Pistolero thing that Eternity runs. So yeah, that's the only reason why they're probably going to be towards the tail end of the S tiers, just because hyper aggro builds will still destroy Uruguay. But I feel like in every other area, Uruguay performs so well now that they really should be at the top of their listing here. And I think it's hard to refute that too, And even if you don't like immigrant units, they do have the Blandigus, which are a great maneuver unit with splash. And some pretty decent upgrade cards too for their conscripts, pardos, and lanceros. So, and their Pedrero mortars, yeah. It's hard to find fault in Uruguay, Yeah. So, any opposition to Uruguay being S tier? Because I feel like, Mexicans and ARGs probably go to high A tier, low S tier. You're probably right about that. We'll have to look at that once we get to them. Yeah, I'm assuming most of these Latin civs have probably gone up, have moved up at some degree because of the Advanced Immigrants card just helping them out. ARGs, ARGs is most definitely going to... I'm definitely putting them in an S tier category now. Just seeing how well they've performed lately. Yeah. As for the Tupi, I would say probably Tupi, I'm assuming they're an A tier civ, maybe. Really good hyper aggro, but not great at much else. Yeah. If you include them in a team game and they're really good with their aggression, they can probably wipe out a lot of stuff, They're very fast, They got almost as fast of an aggro speed as the Zulu do, so that's something to consider. But I think the reason why they're not S tier is obviously they don't have that same late game weaponry that Zulu does. Zulu has skirmishers, Zulu has dragoons, really good skirmishers, really good artillery. They got good musketeers. Tupi just don't have all those unirolls. So that's why they're sort of under that thing. I mean, we could totally move Tupi down to B tier as well, depending on what people's opinions are, but I think for right now we'll just keep them on the upper echelon of civs just because of their aggro ability and their simplicity of resource management because they don't have to deal with coin at all. Yeah, I think so. But you know what? Let's move them down. You know why? Because I just remembered the Tupi dilemma. The fact that they're relying on trees, right? And guess what? Maps usually don't have infinite trees on them, so eventually Tupi will actually die if the map runs out of trees. And there's currently no way to get infinite trees anymore, so Tupi probably should just be slung down to B, just because they have a lifespan. You know, other civs don't have a lifespan where they literally just die, but the Tupi do, just because once the trees go, they go. Right? There's no factories for them. There's no wood trickle cards. They're literally cooked if the trees go. And there's not even a card to improve the yield from trees either, like the Central American villagers take advantage of. So that is another problem. So yeah, let's put them into B tier just because of their huge gaping wound with the trees. Yeah. Didn't we put Tupi into B tier last time, or were they? I already forget. We just looked at, right? I think B tier is fine. You think is there any Tupi enthusiasts here that want to put them higher? Any Tupi enthusiasts, anti-enthusiasts that want to put them into C? Yeah, that's the question. Does anybody feel like Tupi is either being overlooked or being underlooked? Anything like that? Otherwise, we can go on to Sweden, I think. Yeah. Is that right? Alright, well, okay, let's go on to Sweden then. Sweden probably an A-tier civ. Just really good 1v1 gameplay with the Beverangars. Good wood economy. One of the only civs that can really crank out a lot of wood into the late game even without a factory. That's got to count for something, especially when it comes to affording artillery and military buildings and stuff, and navy. Yeah, they get good cavalry, really good upgrade cards, I feel like they do a lot. They even get a team riding school card that helps everybody train cavalry faster, which is pretty huge. Riksbank and the bank wagon's always nice. And the allotment system, yeah, the allotment system is very beast sometimes, right? Especially if you combine with the advanced cards, yeah. I think Sweden, does good against a lot of civs just because they kite really well, they do really good with the hit and run tactics. That's what makes the Sweden really a strong civ. And then when it comes to flying cav and sieging, they do well too, so, yeah. Also, one of the only civs to have an artillery unit that counters cavalry, the Nordenfelt gun, an organ gun with multipliers against cavalry. Yeah, I think that's definitely puts Sweden into high level of gameplay. Yeah, and I don't think there's a lot of people that say otherwise, Plus the Hof, the other annex buildings giving you so many assets. It's hard to put Sweden anything lower than an A tier, I think, And I don't think they've been nerfed at all in any of these patches to really justify anything else. They're still hitting strong, doing good. Yeah. I think we put Sweden in A tier last time, right? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. They can't go into S tier though, because I think really tough S tier civs will completely swamp the Swedes usually. Ones like Germany, ones like Dutch, Uruguay even, Zulu. Yeah, that's the problem with Sweden. They can't deal with super high level civs, but they can deal with most of the ones from B tier and below, and they can go about even with the ones in A tier, so that's why they're in A tier, I think. I don't think anyone really objects to this. If you do, definitely write something in. I think we all agreed that Sweden was an A tier civ last time, and I don't think that's going to change because the patch notes really doesn't put them up or down at all. I don't think, but who knows, right? Spain, we could probably could put them into. Let's put them in A tier. I think Spain is an okay A-tier civ because they, here's the thing, they got good line infantry play with the missionary's unction ability now, which is pretty solid, right? Also, I really like the Spanish FF and semi-FF going into 3 falconets instead of 2 because they get one falconet from the age up and then 2 from the home city. It's something not a lot of other civs have. I think it runs pretty smoothly, yeah. Yeah. Also, cuirassiers instead of Spanish lancers, I think, as long as you can afford them, is usually going to perform better. I mean, that's what I think, you know. I've seen Spanish do really well with the cuirassier gameplay a lot. Yeah, I mean, Baddoors certainly took a hit, and I feel like, you know, if we were talking about the Toledo days Spain civ, they'd probably be in, like, S-tier God civ that everybody could play about, but definitely nowadays I think there's more settled into the A-tier without all their broken stuff from before, you know. Higher build limit on the missionaries, higher speed ability with the old Baddoors, boosting all the units, not just the Cavs, so yeah. Yeah, and when it comes to, like, comparing them against Sweden, I think Sweden, though Spain might be able to get out the door a bit quicker, I think Sweden just has a lot more, I guess, economy, you know. A lot more economy. You know, Spain in Definitive Edition has cool eco boosts like the Marvelous Year card and the 2 Hacienda Wagons one, the Viceroyalty of Mexico or Spain or whatever, so yeah. But I think definitely Sweden is a lot more economical, especially in team games, I feel like. That definitely gives them a boost. Also, I would probably say Beverangars are going to be more valuable in general than regular line infantry are, just because of their movement speed, their higher siege, their counter against cavalry, and even their multipliers against heavy infantry with the sword card too, yeah. So yeah, I think Sweden just is a little bit more efficient, but you could totally be a Spain enthusiast and say otherwise too, and say, oh, what about the Chapelgores, Pesatero, and stuff like that. Yeah, so yep, that's why we're basically going to be putting Spain behind Sweden here. If you think that Spain should be ahead of Sweden, or maybe they should even be in a different category, definitely put your opposition here, you know. I know there's a lot of Spain enthusiasts that have been around for probably a decade like me that love Spain, and they really enjoy them. But I think we all know that Spain has definitely, you know, been a bit reduced over time than what they used to be in the earliest days of Wars of Liberty, you know. Go really far back into like the earliest versions of Wars of Liberty, and even the post-Maltese Italian patch rework of the European civs. It's safe to say Spain in those days was like a really high peak performance under Toledo and people like them. Yeah, so that's why I'm going to put them there, probably. So for the Serbs, the Serbians, well, I would probably say, why don't we put them into, let's put them into B tier. I don't know. Unless you think they could go into A tier, I don't know. My reasoning is the grave death bonus was nerfed last patch, and I feel like there's a lot of civs that can actually humble Serbia if they're not careful, namely Peru and other ones that I've seen lately. I think watching that casted game on Thursday where Peru completely humbled Serbia really changed my opinion of the civ, you know. It showed me that, yeah, Serbia is very strong. Serbia's strong, of course. But, yeah, if you're good with Peru and you're very careful and you mass up, you can actually destroy Serbia pretty well, you know. I think the problem is that when you're looking at any nation-state civ like Serbia, you got to understand that as a culture, their common units are designed as glass cannon units. They have lower hit points but higher attack. And thus, someone like Peru, who can spam Braneros at you with the Escoltas and stuff, they can actually clean up your entire army, which I didn't realize they could do that well. I saw, because you know what Peru does that definitely hurts a civ like Serbia. They can spam pretty much infinite Berneros in a 1v1 game, whereas Serbia can't do the same with their Hajdukes or recruits once they get over a certain threshold. I told you about the build Peru does with, virgin forest, carpentry, and extractivism to basically get infinite wood. That's one way you can basically completely cook and swamp the Serbs in terms of army mass and grind their economy down. So, yeah, that's where we're going to put them. Is there anyone that thinks Serbia should be in the A tier at all? Definitely tell me if you think that. I'm going to keep it where it is. Yeah. Now, we got an interesting one to look at. If there's no oppositions to the previous stuff we've done, we got the Russians. Now, the Russians are going to be a very tricky one. And you know why? You know why they're going to be a tricky one? Because of this. If we go up here, there's something we need to really look at with that. That. So no more settler batch training, and they have standard settler cards now. So 2 settler and 3 settler in age 1, and then in age 2 you have 4 settler, 5 settler. So normal settler cards now, and training 1 vill at a time instead of 3 at a time. So what do we do about that with Russia? Should we maybe move Russia up, keep them where they are, or put them down? Because if I recall correctly, we sort of classify Russia around the same strength as Spain last time, right? Well, at least from my understanding. Well, this is interesting, I've been playing around with it a little bit, seeing how Russia operates as a normal eco-civ. And I think it's mixed. Some people have done well with it, some people not so much. It really depends. I mean, I'll be honest, probably. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yep, the Jeff League, exactly. Yeah, just run Iron Regiment and, win. Yeah. That's why Serbia's still a B tier civ, because Iron Regiment still sort of compensates for the nerf, Yeah, definitely. But I think in terms of Russia, let's put them into B tier, like maybe ahead of Tupi, I guess. I don't know. I'm experimenting. I feel like we put them in the B tier last time, right? Yeah, I think they're going to be higher in B tier now, though, because I think the Russian economy is going to be a bit easier to manage now, right? Yeah, because before you had to have all that food just to get 3 villagers and get across the finish line. Now with Russia, you're training vills like everybody else, so it's not as much of a demanding task to queue up a villager now, so I feel like players who are really tight about how they do their economies are going to feel Russia's going to be a bit easier to control now. So, yeah, maybe. America's with the good economy and military S or A tier. Yeah, maybe we could definitely look at the U.S. towards the end and determine that. I mean, I think the CSA military is definitely a lot more viable than the Union one. And back in the day, it used to be the opposite, I feel like. Or at least it was a lot more neck and neck. Nowadays, yeah, I'd rather be CSA military than Union. Just because Texas Ranger, Louisiana Tiger, Sharpshooter definitely do a much better job at what they do. Cavalry Corps, pretty good assault unit. Yeah, so there's that. But anyways, with Russia, I think they're better than Tupi just because they have better late game. They got a more stable economy without the tree crisis. Yeah, I think that's probably good for them, Definitely. But I don't think they're as good as the Serbs, because I feel like if it comes into a total battle between Russia and Serbs, Serbian Hajduk's with their higher attack are going to melt the Cantonists and the Frontovics pretty easily. Oh yeah, that's right. Starncrates, that's true. You know, facts having 5 forts for America is good. 2 factories. They can rush way faster. I didn't think of that. So yeah, let's put them like maybe up. Should we put them here or here? Here or here? I don't know. Let's put them here. Let's put them here. Maybe we can. Yeah, see, we are grouping Spain with Russia once again. Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah. I think Russia might actually, I don't know, they might have a bit more flexibility than Spain just because you get their skirms earlier, right? Cossacks are a bit more massable. Who knows? Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think about the, yeah, definitely, National Redoubt. I should have thought of that. The ability to pop down forts and instantly train infantry and stuff from them. Yeah, that does factor a lot in that. Yeah. Yeah, that probably like a low B tier. But we'll see. Yeah. How about Romania? Romania, I don't really see them going anywhere beyond where they are already. You know, same old Civ, same old stuff. Haven't really gone up or down, so we're just going to keep them where they are. You know, I think they're probably like one of the weaker nation-state civs, just because their skirms have less range than the Grenzers do. Yeah. I guess everybody's advocating for America now. They love Los Gringos. Yeah. Yep. Reason for Romania being a C tier is because they basically have units, I feel like, that don't always scale up well in 1v1s. They do okay in team games, but in 1v1s gets a little bit eek, depending on what the matchup is. So yeah, I think C tier is fine for Romania. Also, I don't like that you have to go with the Verdun sort of setup. I would prefer if you could choose to go full peasants or full gypsies, but they just don't have that flexibility. So yeah, because the thing I don't like about the gypsy wagons is that the villagers have to be far away from the town center to gather at a normal raid. And if you're dealing with an aggro civ like Tupi or Russia or Zulu, they're gonna be the first ones to croak. You know, if you can't get them into the wagon in time and get out of there, it's just not gonna go well. Yeah. That's what I think, at least, you know. I think Romania, probably on the 1v1 level, one of the weaker nation-state civs. Yeah. I'm assuming nobody's going to object to that because we really established that well last time. So I think, yeah, Romania in C tier is probably okay. Now we're going to look at Portugal again. Portugal really hasn't changed a lot. Let's just keep them where they are as a low A tier civ. I think that's fine. Wait a second, not low A tiers. Yeah. That's a good question. Should they be above these? That's a good question. I might put them in the low A tier now to think about. You know what I mean? My reasoning is because, as you know, in War's Liberty, the Tag rework kind of screwed over the Portuguese really badly. Namely because it devalued the maneuver class, or the light cavalry class of dragoons. Because now they were only countering heavy cavalry like assault, basically the assault class like escoltas, cuirassiers, honor guards at range. The only way they counter hussars anymore is in melee. So, because the Tag rework devalued Portugal's dragoons tremendously, in the fact that they sort of degraded the Ultramarino ultimate unit, removing its crush attack. Yeah, I gotta put like Portugal on the lower end of A tier, you know, but still, when it doesn't come to that, when it comes down to Cazador and line infantry play, pretty good, you know. They got falconets now, which are better than organ guns, so that's another thing for them. I just don't see them, you know, being as squeaky and flexible as they are in Definitive Edition with their dragoons, you know. Portugal is going to be much better now in anti-infantry fights, right? Massing up line infantry with falcons or cazadors. That's where Portugal tends to do good nowadays. When it comes to flying like hussars in a more flexible way, you don't have that anymore. You don't even have the halbs anymore. So, I mean, you know. Age of Empires 4 is getting an expansion this year. Can't wait. What's it called, Bandito? What's it called exactly? I would love to hear about that, because I always like Age of Empires 4, and I'm willing to like play the DLCs whenever they come out. That one they did with Byzantines was fire. Yeah. Oh, sounds kind of interesting. Gotta look into that. Very interesting. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, that's why I have Portugal on the lower A tier, just because, yeah, they got the same turtle functionality and everything. I just feel like if it's like a really nasty heavy cavalry civ, they're going to have a lot more flexibility against a civ that has dragoons that literally can't shoot them down anymore. They literally have to go up into melee and start contesting with them. Yeah, that's my reasoning for that. Any objectors to it? Yeah, I don't think there's any objectors to it, right? Yeah, no. So, what do we have now? Right now, we got Peruvians. Peruvians, now, this is one that we're going to grade a lot differently than we have in the past. So now, what we're going to do with Peru is going to go, and I want to think this carefully. I don't want to put them too high, put them too low. I am going to put Peru, maybe, just maybe, we're going to put Peru into the B tier category this time. You know, I think they're totally out of the C tier now. They definitely have gone up into the B tier for a number of reasons. Number one, we have S tier Egypt. Yep. You know what we can do? Let me see. Let's make it pink or something. Let me see. There you go. There we go. That's exactly what we're doing. We're going to put Egypt into its own category above S called Gaygypt, because it's Gaygypt. Do a mega FI and win in a team game. So, yep, Egypt gets a grade of its own, because Egypt is not played by the rules of everybody else here. So we're going to give them their own category. So we have a Tupi A tier enthusiast here. Alright. Now, here's the thing. I always end up putting Tupi into the A tier, and then we magically start moving it into the B tier by the end of the stream all the time. And that's what I think I did this time. I was thinking, hey, let's stick them in A tier because they're good aggressive like Zulu, and then I realized, you know what? This Civ has a lifespan. No other Civ has a lifespan except Tupi. Literally, Tupi literally dies if there's no trees on the map and nobody contributed them wood. They're actually dead, like out of the ground. The flower is wilted if they have no trees. No other Civ has that problem, and that's why Tupi just cannot be in A tier. They have to be in B tier, just because they basically have a real serious late game economy deficit. Plus, their military is lacking in late game. You know, they don't have musketeers. They don't have reliable anti-infantry artillery. They would have to jump to Great War Age just to get good anti-infantry artillery, you know, for tanks and stuff. Mex, Korea, S tier, ARG, A tier. That's my grain of salt. Good to know. Good to know. So again, back to Peru. The reason why they're B tier now is because we severely underestimated how good Branieros were macro-wise with the Civ. It turns out, if you stick a bunch of Age 1 woodchopping cards into a Peru deck and you don't get squashed, you can actually really do well in both 1v1 and team games against players. And the Pardos, great protector of them. They work really well and synergize with them well. Sculptas, you can mix those in. You can add Lanceros in. You can add the Leaves and Pawns in. Also, now that you have Spanish immigrants, now you have another way of adding musketeers into your armies that's even more spammable than the Shotai of the Japanese, right? So yeah, even if you want to go Irish immigrants or Chinese immigrants, you can always have that Spanish colony there to plump in a few musketeers to protect your stuff, which is one of the major deficits of the Peru Civ, was no musketeer access besides the Colorados, which were limited. Right now, you can add musketeers in all the time, regardless of whether you want to have Colorados or not. Yeah. Yeah. Maori D tier. We might consider that, actually. We might consider that, just because of their lack of 1v1 survivability and survivability in 2v2v2. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Yeah. Paraguay. Where do we do with Paraguay? Paraguay, probably going to put it here right now. As we all know, this is like saying that the sky is blue and grass is green and games lag when you look at ventanas con bonitas muy bonitas all the time. Paraguay is the most balanced Civ in War's Liberty. It can either be a C tier Civ or a B tier Civ, and I think in terms of being in the middle of the road, they're probably going to be on the upper side of that, because Paraguay, very easy to use Civ, good shock spam, good artillery, upgradability, easy to manage economy, good scaling. Yeah, Paraguay is definitely like middle B tier Civ. Probably. I'll probably put them above Peru, because from what I've always seen, Paraguay has always countered Peru pretty well. Even in our games with Varingo, whenever we use Paraguay, we always destroy Varingo. So we got to put Paraguay above Peru, right? Yeah. No, absolutely not. Korea is not weak to skirmish units. The Myungyungs have more range than these skirmishers do. Also, the Iron Flail assault unit has multipliers against skirmish units. They got good artillery, so I don't think they're weak against skirmish. I actually disagree with that entirely. I don't agree with that one. Yeah, I entirely disagree with that take, really. Yeah, definitely. Yep. I don't know. Is there any oppositions to Paraguay? I don't think there should be. I think everybody knows that they're the most balanced Civ in War's Liberty, and B tier is their home. Germany is S tier for sure, but not the best S. That is true. So Ottomans. Ottomans are an easy S tier, I think. We've established that before. The Janissary Abyss Gunner play. FF play into assault units and Falcons. FI into bombards. Bombings are a very tough Civ to deal with in both team and 1v1 situations. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that Ottomans are very easy in S tier Civ. That's pretty obvious. Yeah, I think so. I think definitely Ottomans. If you know what you're doing with Ottomans, they're pretty tough Civ to deal with. So, yeah. We've seen Kappa use it a million times and just see how deadly it really is. You saw that on the stream yesterday, I made all that stuff with Paraguay, right, and I just was unable to really do anything, yeah. Yep. Yeah, well, it happens, stuff happens, so there you go. But anyways, any opposition to S tier admins. I don't think there's going to be, because everybody's seen enough Cappy games to know why they're there, but yeah, just to know that they're there. You crazy about Korea. The eco is broken and have all counters. Metal knows about Korea. You go, girl. You go, chica. Chica muy bonita, you go. You know what you're saying. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That's perfect. It's on the nose. In fact, last time, didn't we say Korea was like the best S-tier civ just because of their scaling against other civs and stuff? Yeah, I think so. So, Mexico. Mexico... Good question. Let's put Mexico here as an S-tier civ. Because Mexico is pretty immune to Zulu aggro. I think from what we saw yesterday, if played properly, Mexico does actually do pretty well against Uruguay in the hands of a master. Or at least, I don't know. Well, one thing to consider is that Mexican conscriptos have 14 range if upgraded with cards instead of 12. That's pretty big. Chiladeras have a great rate of fire if upgraded with cards. Volantes have multipliers against infantry. That's one of the things that makes Mexico such a great civ. They're defensive. They have that sort of porcupine type functionality. If you take out one of their vills, they're going to return food to the civ. So they can put either into more vills or into military. Yeah. I think before we just considered them to be like a stronger Ethiopia or something. Or a weaker version of Ethiopia, but nah, Mexico has a lot going for them. Good immigrant selection, too. You got the Confederates, you got the French, you got the Chinese. You got the Spanish immigrants now as well. So, even if you want to go full French or something, now you can add in, like, Spanish units and everything in text. Yeah. Cappy autos are deadly. 100% on that. I will put Mexico behind Ottomans because, I feel like if it comes down to like a Janissary Abbas fight, the Ottomans are just going to outdo the Mexicans, so that's why I put them there. But yeah, definitely turtled enough to deal with Zulu. I think with the right economy, I think the Mexican economy is a lot easier to grow than Uruguay, and that's why they're going to be above Uruguay, just because their eco is more scalable, it's larger to grow. Yeah, Mexico grows their economy a lot quicker than Uruguay does, and a lot stronger too. So, I mean, if it comes down to like a late game Imperial Age fight, Uruguay is going to have to micro really hard to deal with Mexico if they're doing everything right. Basically. Well, Mex got all counters too, and Max Vills at 15 mins and FF, and they can't be... Yes, that's right. That's right. That's absolutely right. Yeah. Yeah, I think the only thing they have to worry about is like really, really, really strong civs, like, like Dutch or Ottoman sort of, or Koreans, like basically surrounding them and smothering them and stuff. That's why he's had them basically above Zulu and Uruguay, but behind Ottomans at the moment, yeah. So now we got the Mapuches. Mapuches. What do we do with the Mapuches? We can put the Mapuches probably over here for now. I think Mapuche, pretty easy A-tier selection. They got enough viable builds. They got a lot of home city card flexibility because they literally bring freaking almost 100 of them into every game. Do I need to say anything else? Yeah, probably a better economy than most, if not all of the Native American civs except maybe the Inca. Yeah. That's an easy one. Yep. Triangulate. Also, the Mawadanche. You gotta remember the Mawadanche, too. The Mawadanche, they got the Windatufe, they got the Malin, they got tanky skirms with the Trauks. Yeah. The Mapuche roster is pretty good. I mean, they got a lot of good, reliable stuff in there. So, yeah. Also, good cards. Good XP generation with their villagers gathering XP over time. Yeah, that's an easy one. That's a super easy one, actually. 100% easy one. 100% easy one. Yeah. I didn't even struggle when I was thinking up of this one at all. Definitely not. So, there you go. Any opposition to Mapuche? Do you think they should be here, up here, over here, over here, over there, anywhere? I don't think so. I mean, I think Mapuche is one of the easier ones to normally grade just because they've always been a strong option since the very earliest days of Wars of Liberty. That time I tried to run Canada and I wasn't good at them. Mandalore completely destroyed me and smoked me with them. Yep, I did. I said they bring like 100, almost 100 freaking cards in every game because they literally have every card between all 6 of their war chiefs that they can call on at any time. So, yeah, that's something no other Civ can even say unless they're running one of those cheat decks with like 50 cards in them. You know, they could literally do anything and anything at any time, which no other Civ can do. That's why they gotta be considered something, you know. I mean, my only like concern is, of course, is the fact that you know, their boar HUD in the early game's a bit limited. You either can go spearman or sword of assault. They don't have any musket. They don't have any early skirm, and I think that's sort of their only problem. You're really dependent on your Mawadanches or like a support card like the Matreros or the Savicos to, you know, play more traditionally, and I think that's where they sort of fall off a bit. But definitely, yeah. I put them behind Portugal because if it comes down to Portugal versus Mapuche, Portugal will have an easier time just because Trangolats or Assault to actually use their Dragoons against them. So, yeah. One of the few instances where Portugal's Dragoons will still perform quite well, and sometimes even better, so, yeah. Now, Maori. Metal, one of the expert players of them, said D tier. I think we could try that, you know. I mean, that game we did about 2 weeks ago in the stream, remember how, don't you remember how hard it was for me and Kaiser to actually stay ahead of everybody and how we got rushed from the get-go? That was very painful. It showed us that even in a FFA environment, if people are going to be aggressive, Maori can actually suffer a lot of pain. And then when it comes to late game, other cultures outdo the Maori pretty good. Yeah. I mean, Maori has their strengths. Their strength is in, like probably 2v2s and 3v3s where they can be left alone to do their own stuff. They do really well. But outside of that, yeah, basically Maori, at least from the way we consider it, is probably the new Brazil. You know, kind of slow and risky. It's a risky play. It's a gamble. You might win with Maori very well, but you might not. It's a real gamble. And probably, you know, so much of a gamble that probably not even worth being in the C tier category. Yeah. Alright. Yeah, definitely. I think once they do the Polynesian rework, maybe they'll go up again. And maybe they get some more unit rolls and stuff. But as it stands right now, yeah. Especially the lack of maneuver, the lack of Dragoon functionality, you know. Maori is very anti-infantry, with all its anti-cav going into melee, which is kind of, against assault, not too good. Definitely not. Yeah. Lakota, what do you think? What do you think about Lakota? I might put them right here, you know. A B tier of Lakota doesn't sound too bad. Hola, Juanito Glinguito. Yeah, Cappy. We're just putting Lakota into B tier. Give you? Yeah. Yeah, I think B tier Lakota's probably pretty fair. Yeah, S tier, because of you. You put them there. You put them in S tier, Cappy. Good job. Yep. Yeah, I think so. I definitely like them more than Portugal as far as the Turtle Civ. I mean, they defend well against Zulu. I think they perform okay against Uruguay. Nah. Mexico's good. Mex. Yeah. You put them up there. We were gonna keep them in upper A tier until you played them so well that now they look like an S tier Civ. Yeah. Yep. Whenever you play a Civ, you make them automatically look better usually. But yeah, I mean, I think definitely the thing we got to consider is the fact that Mexico a lot easier to play than Ethiopia, because before we kind of had Ethiopia ahead because of their late game scaling. But yeah, I'd rather be Mexico, at least because I know the economy is a lot easier to manage. It's a lot easier to get started with Mexico. They're more reliable and stuff. They got immigrants. Yeah, Mexico definitely could be an S tier Civ, 100% on that one. Yeah. Yep. So, going back to Lakota, the reason why they're only a B tier now is because bow riders are now kind of poop. Somewhat for the rifle riders too, because maneuver class was severely nerfed in the tag rework. Now Lakota lose a lot of their pizzazz, and that's why they're sort of where they are. Reason why they're still in B tier is probably because if you can pull off something with the axe riders, it's about the same, or the dog soldiers, or the Wakina rifles. But yeah, the Dragoon type builds with Lakota have definitely taken a hit. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. But that happens in other modes as well, just like that game I did with Kaiser on the stream. We were going to try something, then somebody decided to rush us, Senior of Ringo's team, and did you see how crippled we were and how scary that was? Like, we could die at any time. With that Civ, that was very dangerous. Yeah, that was, yeah, definitely. Once somebody gets into the Great War Age, I think the Maori kind of suffers a bit. At least it seems like it, you know. Their unique unit, it's not that good. Yeah. I think our Civs get better Great War Age units, and that's why I sort of put them down there too. Yeah. Yep. Whatever. So now we're going to put Korea into the S tier, probably ahead of Ottomans again. I think this is a pretty easy one. You know, I mean, if it comes down to pure 1v1, we know Korea beats Ottomans pretty well, usually, using their archers and stuff. Yep, I guessed Lakota pretty good. S tier Korea, head of Ottomans is pretty good, I think. You know, if it comes down to 1v1, those Korean archers really do wonders against Abyss Janissary play. It's one of the few things that can actually put them in check, just because of the extra range and the rate of fire. Yeah. So yeah, that's why I have basically Korea such a high seed on there. I mean, they're never gonna ascend into Gageship level, but they'll definitely be good for S tier then. Yeah, basically. 100% on that one, pretty much. Yeah. So, any opposers to Korea? I don't think so. Korea, perfect Civ. Perfect experience. Like the peak of Asian gameplay is with Korea. Even better than China. Even better than the Chinese have it, you know. Korea has a much more flexible economy than China does. And they have a better military. They have just as much spammability at times. It's really good time when you're Korea. Yep, that's right. That's why I put Mexico there. It's hard to destroy Mexico. They have the presidios, and they have the food graves when the villagers die. That is such a great defense. Such a great. Also, the fact, here's another reason why Maori is in D tier. Mexico over here can use their bounty hunter explorer to kill the Maori explorer in age 1 and stop them from aging up, automatically killing them instantly. Yeah. You heard that right. Maori can die in age 1. One of the few civs that can die in age 1 if you're not careful. If Explorer or Treasure Guardian takes out your Maori leader and he dies in age 1 and he's sort of sitting there on the floor, you can't age up. You're completely stumped, and you have to mine out like 100 or 200 coin to get them back just to do all that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Korea doesn't have a lot of weaknesses. That's another thing too. You know, I mean, yeah, it's hard to mess with Korea when done properly. That's why they're up there. You know, like not even the Ottomans can really mess with them too much when they're played correctly. Yeah. Plus the double queuing of villagers thing really scales them ahead too. Yeah. So yeah, there we go with that. Japan. So what do we do with Japan? What do we do with Japan? I'll put Japan right here. You think this is alright? Yeah, I'll put Japan behind Mexico. Just because I feel like, yeah, Mexico can probably deal with Japan pretty okay, I feel like, yeah. Just because of their defensibility, you know. Because Mexico can boom just like Japan can, you know. They're both very good booming civs and they're both very good defensive civs, but I feel like... Oh, really? So you think maybe here? Maybe they were better Sweden, perhaps? I'm willing to accept that. You know, that Japan is just a better Sweden civ with bigger booming and more flexibility. You know. That's a good one. That's a good question. Let's keep them in low A tier because of their weakness of their shrines if they get sieged. Yeah, that's a weakness to Japan is if their shrines get sieged. And then their population falls and their economy falls apart. Uruguay and all the civs up here don't have that type of problem, so maybe because of their glaring weakness, maybe they're down here, you know. That being said, we could put them here because Sweden has Beverangars, which have good siege, which, when used properly, can really cut through the Japanese shrines and put them on their, basically slice their kneecaps, basically. That's fine, though, but because Mexico is turtle, they're a turtle civ, that's fine. They just have to take over their little quadrant and put up a bunch of presidios and boom. Yep, that's right. Yeah, Maori, they can get completely, you know, yep, that, I, for the longest time, overlooked that fact all the time, but I really gotta start making Maori take some responsibility for their weaknesses and put them down there where they belong. Yeah. Big time. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's fair we put Japan just below Sweden because Sweden can spam Beverangers onto Japan and cook their shrine eco up and house them and stuff if they really want to. Also, Sweden's got some good assault units. Japan doesn't get assault units, so maybe that's another weakness. They just lack an entire unit class that could help them too. A naked FF Maori is 25 and can send shipments to defend. It's amazing. Yeah, because, yeah, like if they didn't have all that stuff, we would probably put them down like there or something. Yeah. I mean, can't send shipments. Yep. The cards have to fall perfectly into place. It's like a poker game. You gotta have all the right cards in your hand. If you don't, it doesn't work. Bada bing, bada boom, you fail. Yeah. Big time. 100%. You got that right on the nose there, I think. Big time. Yeah. So what about Italy? What do we do with the Italians? Pronto, stop and follow. Let's think. What do we do with Italy? Italy. What do we do with Italy? I don't know. You know what? You know what we're gonna do? We are gonna put Italy. Hmm. Hmm. Huh. Let's put them like right here or something. Yeah. Yeah, let's put Italy there. I mean, I was gonna maybe put them in the C tier for fun, but yeah, I mean, it's Italy's a B tier civ, right? I mean, just run of the mill European. They get longer range skirms, which does account for something. One thing against them, though, is the fact that their maneuver unit, the Basiglieri, does not have multipliers against artillery at all, so that kind of. Because it's basically like an Eagle Runner Knight, that's an issue. Also, the fact if you can decapitate all of Italy's sort of their architect unit, that's going to basically stop them from producing buildings, which is kind of a weakness that we have to consider. But otherwise, a pretty generally okay European civ. All the upgrade cards on military and economy, all the mercenary shipments. So yeah, I mean, it's basically like an average European civ that doesn't go up to the moon like a lot of the other ones do, like the Portuguese, Spanish, Russians, and those that just have really cool bonuses that help them out. So yeah, it's a good example of how to do a Wars of Liberty civ. That a Wars of Liberty European civ, it does not do that well, but still does well enough to be considered middle of the road, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, because, some people could justify them being in the C tier, but I just think, I think Hishe has proven that they can be useful enough that they should still be in the B tier class and probably ahead of Lakota. Yeah, because they don't have that. They sort of suffer from the same problem with the Lakota with their maneuver. Like, a big part of Italy's identity is maneuver units, and maneuver units are not that great nowadays. But at least Italy has other stuff. They got the long range skirms, they got Royal Guard pikes, they got good grenadiers. They're okay. So yeah, India. What do we do with India? I'll put India. Uh, 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 I don't know, either here or here. I'll put them here for fun. You know why? Because from what I know in Definitive Edition, India is always neck and neck. India and Spain, that is. But I feel like just because the Agrifort scales better now with each age up, if you get it later, maybe we'll give the dog a bone and put them ahead of Spain finally. Yeah, we'll do that. India, just a solid civ all around. Sepoy, Gurkha play, Mahout play. Yeah, all the above, Sawar's a little bit more useful now that they're scout and the Dragoons can't shoot them out of the sky anymore. Yeah, I think so. Rumi's still godlike. Yeah, but definitely not an S tier civ. All these S tier civs will completely swamp India. That's why they're down there. I think Russia can sometimes. Russia's spam will probably deal with India pretty well if done right. Japan, same thing. Sweden, same thing. Yeah. Yeah, we'll just make them a middle A tier civ. Think that would be pretty fair. Yep, definitely. Any oppositions at all? Why don't you discuss it for a few seconds while I go grab something? There we go. Alright, so now we're going to do everybody's favorite civ, the most prideful civ in the world. Vringo and a pride float. Inca. So where we put the Inca? Inca. I'll put Inca. Good question. Where do we put the Inca? I'll put the maybe here, something like that. Yeah, Inca's a scary civ. Huamacas, Inca mortars, Manco horsemen, their economy. Incas do some pretty nasty things that no human should be able to do. Yeah. Been destroyed by Incas so many. That too, yep, that's another way to win. You win by nobody else winning. That's another reason why they're an A-tier civ. Yeah. Just make ocarunas and outsync the game. That's the key. If you can't win any other way, just nuke it. Take the nuclear option. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, we'll do that. Yep. A category all on its own because they can nuke the game. Yeah. But they will never, ever amount to the gayness of Egypt. Yeah. There you go. Perfect. Perfecto. That is probably good, yeah. It's probably appropriate to put Inca in their own category because they sort of, they don't really follow the rules of warfare in any sort of normal way. Yeah, definitely not. Yep, and then we got the Hods here. Hods probably A-tier civ, right? Pretty solid all around. Yeah, we'll put Hods in A-tier. Still very good, very reliable. Just as good as they are in Definitive Edition. Yeah. Even their kind of horsemen are going to be better because, they're scout class, right? So dragoons can't shoot them in range. So, yeah. A-tier Hods for the win. Yeah. Yeah, basically. I don't think we need to really explain Hods too much because if you play Definitive Edition, you sort of know why they're pretty good. Why they should be pretty high up there. I just feel like Mapuche are probably better because the more cards, the more late game scalability thing. Yeah. Really? I didn't know that. I didn't know they had that dilemma. Very interesting, though. Keep a mental note of that going forward. Yeah. Haiti. Haiti. What do we do with Haiti? Haiti. I'll put Haiti right here. Yeah. Still a very strong aggro civ. They actually got a buff by now the fact that they can have up to 5 coin works up rank now. That's gonna count for something. That's pretty good. The reason why we're gonna probably not have Haiti ahead of Uruguay is the fact that they're one of the only civs that didn't get the Spanish immigrants, which is very sad. Very, very sad. Everybody's crying. In the Juanito community, their Haiti civ cannot make Spanish immigrants. Yeah. Very sad day for Haiti. But yeah. I mean, in general, I feel like a Uruguay who is doing Gallegos is just going to scale better than Haiti is playing them. Yeah, basically. So, yeah, Haiti definitely will always probably be an S tier civ unless they're severely nerfed in Ace or away, so we'll just keep them up there. Probably. Yeah, yep, basically. Yeah. Yeah, the thing that makes Haiti really good in competitive is the fact that they have good immigrant selection for Rush, either Germans, Polish, or Arabs, which helps them in every scenario. Obviously, the improvement of the Polish immigrant option is going to help Haiti out a lot as well, including the option to ship in 4 Uhlans with the Grenadiers, so it's not as just purely anti-infantry of an option anymore. The fact that immigrants will be buffed up slightly more now for the Haitians too will probably help them out too. Yeah, definitely. Also, the 5 coin works that I mentioned combine H3 German immigrants with the rum card that they get that lets them get 2 coin works. So that's going to be really good scaling. Perfecto. See? Yep. How about the Greeks? What do we do with the Greeks? Greeks, we could put the Greeks like, let's put the Greeks, good question. What should we do with the Greeks? What do we do with the Greeks? Could put the Greeks here. Yeah. I mean, if it was on a land map, I'd probably put them behind, like, Tupi, probably. But if they're on the war map, then they're probably up. They're probably an S tier. So we'll average it at about here for Greece, you know. Reason is if it's a war map at all, you can take your landowner's investment wagon and turn it into a dock to get free fishing boats over time, which is a godlike ability. Yeah, like if it was purely a land map gameplay, Greece would definitely be behind Serbs, probably. Maybe even behind. I don't think they'd be behind Romania just because. I don't know. We're gonna have to discuss that one. But definitely they do so well with water maps or any map that has water with fish on it. They get towed way up to A tier then. Yeah. Definitely. Because you have to consider both aspects of that too, the land and the water. If it was purely water, we would just put them up with Korea's probably up in that section of the woods. But yeah, no. You gotta consider both the land and the water maps, so that's why Greece is where they're at, basically. If you have any oppositions, you feel like the fish bonus isn't that good, and they should probably go into the B section that I was talking about before, definitely say that, but I think for right now, we can keep them there. Yeah. Yep, the Middle East update, that's right. You're 100% right about that. There's going to be Uzbeks, Persians, Saudis, and Afghans. Yeah. So next time we do one of these tier lists, we'll probably have their flags on there too. Canada with militia. Yeah, the militia's okay with Canada. It's not a bad thing. Germany. Let's put Germany here for now. Let's put Germany here. Yeah, we'll put Germany right there. S tier civ, you know, basically all the strengths of the Definitive Edition British, only with more stuff, you know, group factories, more artillery flexibility, good upgrade cards that British don't get. Yeah, it's pretty easy to see why Germany should be an S tier civ, you know. The Manor Boom combined with really fast shooting line infantry and so forth. Just you're covered with Germany throughout the game. If you know how to play the British, Germany is probably going to be even easier for you in Wars of Liberty. Uh, Germany F tier. Yeah, yeah, nice try. Yeah, basically. Yeah. We have enough troll tiers already. We can't add another one now. Got one for Varingo and we got one for Egypt. Germany, yeah. I mean, Germany used to be very troll-like OP as well back in the day. Now they just sort of settled into like the British category with some stronger perks. So that's why they're S tier. Yeah. Back then, you could literally get a market wagon and research all the market text for free as Germany, and that was really scary times. I will say that, scary times indeed. Thankfully, we don't have to. Yep, the German trade fair, the World Trade Fair or something. The Frankfurt Trade Fair, right. Yep, remember the Frankfurt Trade Fair, everyone? That wonderful card that basically gave us the ability to research all the market text for free with Germany. Those were the days, right? Yeah. Those were the days. I don't know if Cappy was around back then. If he was, we probably would have had a real headache back then dealing with them. Yeah, big time. Also, the Land Warren builds were much nastier back then, too. So, yeah. But even without the Land War builds and Frankfurt Trade Fair, Germany still is a high S tier civ that can do a mana boom into all sorts of stuff. Yeah, I don't. If you like Coca-Cola, I guess. If you like Coca-Cola and Colt Firearms and Texaco Oil, maybe. If you watch the American Pickers like a boomer, then yeah, you're probably gonna put them in S tier because of the great companies. But yeah, in terms of gameplay, not as strong as you might think. Yeah, definitely, definitely. France. Mm, we'll put France up into the S tier, like lower S tier maybe. Yeah. What do you think? I think Haiti might be able to. Haiti and Uruguay can humble France, but France is one of the stronger European cities. Good villagers with the Sanscalates. They're basically a copy of the CBD. Good Royal Guard upgrades and all their stuff. More unit variety with the mounted skirms and the Zwaves and the Foreign Legion. So yeah. Basically stronger than they even are in like the Asian dynasties France. I mean, I would say probably France and Definitive Edition is probably like that too because of the ancien regime and some of the cool things they can do. But yeah, definitely France being up there is good. America's the only country in the world. It's because our education system is so decrepit. That's why it is. I've seen those interviews where they go on the street and they ask people to name a couple of countries in a world war or some historical event, and they say Texas or California or Iowa or something. They don't even know the states of the country. I know people can't even draw certain states in the country. That's how bad our history and geography education system is in America and some school systems. Not mine. Mine was like one that got a lot of commission from getting people into Ivy League schools, so they were good about it. But other ones, nah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. Very tricky indeed. Yeah. So now we got the Ethiopians. We'll keep them where they were last time. Good turtle civ, just not as good and easy as Mexico. If you have Lars playing as Ethiopia while he's eating his special brownies and his gummy bears, then they're probably down in the F tier. But if you know what you're doing like Eternity, then they're probably about here, I would say. All it takes is a really good siege civ that can crush their buildings and hold the line to be able to deal with them, I think. Like Cappy's Germany, Cappy's Ottomans, Koreans, late game Zulu with heavy mountain guns. You run a strong late game thing against Ethiopia, you can stomp them, but if you don't have that sort of tool in your back pocket, Ethiopia kind of falls apart. The Degregados thing is definitely something worth mentioning, but hey, if you're smart enough to garrison your town center and maybe get a shipment of Minutemen out and target them. You can deal with that. Yeah. America gets made fun of a lot. Civ missing in the mod is Poles, Lithuanians. Polish are planned in a future update. Yeah, Polish are... Actually, I think Lithuanians might be coming too, perhaps. I don't know. I think Lithuanians were definitely considered. They might actually be happening. I don't know. I know Poles are happening. I think Lithuanians are also potentially going to be an option too for the mod, so we'll have to see. They'll be released around the nation-state rework, probably with like Albania and Montenegro, and a couple of the other Balkan states. Yeah, Albania, Montenegro, Poles, and Lithuanians would be a good update. Maybe Georgians as well. You know, the World Team did determine the Georgians belong in the nation-state culture and not the Middle Eastern one, just because of their Orthodox Christian identity, basically. No lightest due to timeline. That is true. I don't know what they'll have though. Yeah, we can only speculate what Lithuanians will have as a nation-state civ. Yeah. Also, another question too is how will we distinguish more northern nation-state civs from the more Balkan ones? You know, I don't think we should exactly have all the same units for Polish and Lithuanians that we do for like the Greeks and the Serbs and Romanians. And then how we fit the Georgians and all that as well. So yeah, should be very interesting indeed. Yep, but anyways, Dutch. What do we do with Dutch? We usually put Dutch around here, right? Yeah, because Dutch have the flankers and can cause a lot of problems for Ottomans if done properly with spam and stuff. Yeah. Maybe they're below Ottomans, I don't know. You're going to have to tell me where exactly the Dutch should be. But I think that's pretty fair. Yeah, the thing is that Estonians would be a maybe. Maybe they are. They might be too insignificant, though, to be added. I don't know. I know Lithuanians out of all the Baltic states are the most likely to be added into Wars of Liberty. Most definitely. Yeah. Definitely not Latvians. I don't think we're getting Latvians. Yeah. But yeah, the reason why we have Dutch in the S tier is because they got one of the strongest late game economies in the game. They have a good early game economy too, because the settlers are really good on the berry bushes, to the point that they can stay near the base and they don't have to get raided by hussars and stuff going out too far. The flanker are one of the best H2 fighting units in the game that really kites really well. Livonians would be a side. Oh yeah, you could totally do Livonians. We'd have to ask the World Team, though, what all their research has for that. So that would definitely be an interesting one, to say the least. Yeah, and what else? Oh, yeah, 3 ultimate units with Dutch, too. Some really strong ones. You got the Washmeister, which is like a super-powered Infernal, and you know the Infernal is like a really good unit class. You got the Marchazi, another good replica of the Mosquetero, another strong unit class, and then even the Zwart Hollander is a pretty solid musket, so yeah. Definitely Dutch have the advantage of either going all H2 with the flankers or going FI into their ultimate units. Yeah, Dutch are pretty flexible with their economy and setups and everything. They can even go Marine Infantry too, in the rare event that somebody's going to go for a Grenadier spam. Dutch does have a good, solid answer to that. Also, the ability to eat up the trade route and get more resources from trading posts is always nice. Also, there's another fact that probably why Dutch should stay in where they are. They moved Contractor Bead to Age 1. That's really important because Contractor Bead allows us to train our slaves and our Japanese laborers 30% faster, which allows Dutch to boom a lot easier. Yeah. Before you had to wait to Age 2 to do it, which sort of like reduced its effectiveness, but now that it's in Age 1, we might see 3 settlers followed by, contractor beat as a potential build order now. That might actually be quite significant and help scale the Dutch economy really nicely. Yeah. So we'll have to see, though. We'll have to see how that turns out. And I'd be paying attention to that, how contractor beat might actually be really substantial now. Yeah. Danish. I'll put them right here. I think Danish is a C tier civ. Yeah, I mean, I don't like the fact. I think, yep, Danish sometimes shine pretty well, but it's pretty rare. They're most definitely on the average side of civs. Yeah, I think so. They got some cool stuff like early falconets in H2 from their card, and skirmishers with multipliers of 4x against heavy infantry that definitely makes them not D tier. But in terms of European civ, yeah, I just feel like what they got is definitely less useful than what Italy has. But similar spot as Italy, but just too low to be in B tier. I think that makes Danish into a C tier civ is just the fact that Italy has some exceptional stuff like long range skirms at 24 range that really can determine mid game. Danish don't have that. Danish. What do they get? They get a really weak musketeer that's spammable, great, but it's not always an advantage. They get normal skirms, normal volunteers, normal dragoons, normal hussars, normal cuirassiers, normal pikemen. What is great about the Danish? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. They do get a few good upgrade cards, but that's about it. If it's like late game, their grenadiers are one of the strongest in the game. Yeah, that is true. But that doesn't help you earlier on, though. Yeah. Free prefs being moved an age later, that's a problem. Mercenary decks are not as good anymore because a lot of the mercenaries Danish used to use in their mercenary build are kind of trash, or at least average now compared to D. So, yeah, I think Danish being in C tier is probably the only place I could see them being in, honestly. Yeah, pretty much. What do you think? Think that's good? Yeah, probably. Colombia, Gran Colombia. What can we do with you? I'll put you here. I'll put Gran Colombia here. This might be good. I might keep Colombia at this spot. Mainly because, they got some good aggression with the tents and stuff. They got a lot of unit flexibility, but in terms of performance, sometimes it can feel a little slow sometimes. I don't know. Is it me, or do they feel sometimes like they aren't the strongest combat civ? Well, I don't know. You really need to know what you're doing with Colombia to get the most out of them, I feel like, and it doesn't always work the best for me. So, yeah. One thing to consider, Gran Colombia has a new immigrant option, the Spanish immigrants from the home city, which means if you are Colombia and you like to go full ultimate unit play, now you'll have 2 immigrants that you can combine with that, the German immigrants and the Spanish immigrants. Because I guess what you players would always worry about is, if I go full ultimate unit with Colombia, then I won't be able to access immigrant battalions in the late game to help me, or any techs or anything. But now you got a really strong one in the Spanish immigrants, so now you do. That's definitely going to help them out, I think. Also, the fact that you still have the German immigrant option, too, that you're going to have in every match, regardless of how you do your age ups as a civ, yeah. And of course, if you do want to add an immigrant colony or whatever, then you'll have 3 of them now, which basically puts Colombia with an average immigrant flexibility in every match, yeah. Being able to get three free immigrants before they were behind. They could get 2. Before they could only get 1. Now they can get, then they can get 2. Now they can get 3. So, yeah, with this much immigrant flexibility, probably the second best immigrant flexibility in the game behind Uruguay. So yeah, good for you, Colombia. Good for you. And then China. Good question. I'll put China here. Is anybody opposed to that? I just think China's a good rush civ. Very good in Wars of Liberty. Has a lot of strengths, especially with the new consulate rework. China has a lot of really powerful pushes they can do. Yeah. And then in the late game, of course, now they got a ranged assault unit, which, sometimes can help, sometimes can detriment. I think what keeps them out of S tier is the fact that now they lack a real late game sort of Dragoon unit, which they used to have in the Banner Cavalry. Now they just have the Manchu, which is just a Cav Archer that's kind of trashier. So, yeah. But that's alright, because maneuver classes don't matter that much anymore. So, yeah. Cope, I guess you could say. Yeah, but yeah, in general, China's just going to be really good in Wars of Liberty. Also because of their civ bonus, where they get a free villager at every town center and village when they age up. So a bit of booming there too. Yeah. Can't go wrong with China usually. Yeah. If you're looking for the best Asian experience, Korea's going to be the best one. But I think China would be the second best one, and then Japan the third, and maybe India the fourth. Yeah, I think so. Chile, I don't know, I'll put Chile here. Good late game economy civ, but an early game, yeah, I think they're slightly ahead of Paraguay just because they do have a musketeer, and it sometimes can be very flexible with the Chuplica di Diablo mode. Yep, I think so. Yeah. What do you think? You think Chile is fine in B tier, or do they need to move up at all? Yeah. My thing is I just don't like the fact that there's stronger musketeers in other civs, like Uruguay, Ottomans, a lot of other ones, I just feel like the Civicos, when it comes to like normal musketeer play, are kind of meh, like that. Nah. Yeah. But when it comes to like melee and like chasing down infantry, yeah, Civicos are going to have that unique niche that they're going to do well at. But yeah, that's why I sort of put it there. Also, the late game economy is really good with Chile too. Yeah. But as you saw in that game between me and Varingo, that doesn't always mean everything, yeah. And that's why you have them so close to Peru as well, because as you know now, Peru can do pretty well against Chile, right? When you use them right. So you know what? I might do. Let's do this. Yeah. Just because I feel like now Peru is actually in a position where they actually can give Chile a run for their money because of their Bonero macro. Yeah. Because from what I've seen lately, Peru has been doing well against Chile lately in like 1v1 matchups with different players, like me and Rommel, me and Varingo versus me, Varingo against others. Peru has been doing pretty well against Chile, so yeah, let's put Peru ahead of Chile, perhaps. That might be more fitting at this point. Yeah, just because the Age 1 wood card Bonero Pardo Machetero meta has really done quite well, more than expected. So yeah, we'll put them ahead of Chile. Yeah, but if it gets into like super late game, obviously Chile would probably be somewhere up here, or somewhere at least over here. But yeah, you get the idea though, basically. Central America, I might put them right here, honestly. I used them in a stream lately, and I just felt like they were kind of lacking for me. Yes, they get the good gather rate from natural resources, and that is a big macro, but I don't know. There's definitely a lot of stronger civs out there that can completely stomp them, though. And I don't like the fact that it can take time for you to get another civilization roster in time. For a good amount of time, you're locked and loaded into one nation of Central America, and it takes a lot of time to basically get into another one. So that's why I feel like Central America probably on the lower echelon to Latin civs, probably. I mean, they get a little bit of a boost because they get Spanish immigrants now, and that definitely helps them out in some areas. But and you know what? That does actually help them to, sort of make up for which roster they do, right? So if they go with the roster that has Musketeros, Escopeteros, and Legionettes and stuff, they can still get Musketeers through the Clorios, so that's good. So yeah. Alright, I'll consider that. I'll just leave them there. Canada probably. Mm, 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 mm. What do we do with Canada? Good question. Canada. Yeah, we could do that. That's fair. Canada's one of the best competitive 1v1 civs. It's definitely the best Anglophone one. Going, the La Marines tends to win 80 or 90% of the time, right? It's quite flexible. Yeah. So we'll do that, basically. Yeah. Yeah, Canada's a hard civ to deal with. Very competitive civ, so we'll keep them up there in the upper A tier. Bulgaria. We'll put them in the upper. I'll put them behind Serbia. Because here's the thing, Bulgaria can counter some of these civs with their Samara Bear builds, but that's about all they got. They got a lot of weaknesses to basically their slower access to units, their slower access to upgrades, and that's why they can never be an A tier civ. The only reason they're in B tier is because of their Samara banner plays, but if it wasn't for that, they'd probably be in C tier, so we'll just leave them there for now, basically. Yeah. British, well, British we could do, I think they're definitely ahead of Greece, the Greeks, probably ahead of, we'll put British here, I think that's fair. Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of Red Coat gameplay and a lot of, FF into Household Blues and stuff with the Green Jackets and even the FIs and the Rockets and stuff that British can do using the Victoria Cross, and I think British in A tier is probably a good place to keep them for now unless you have any objections to it. Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably pretty fair to do. Any suggestions about British, or do you think that's pretty fair for them? I also like the fact that they have good marriage options. They can get some really cool bonuses like banks or sawmills or being able to build forts with the redcoats. That's definitely something to look at too. Yeah. Brazil. Brazil is probably gonna be. What do we do with Brazil? I think we probably put them. Let's put them here. We could put Brazil in the B tier, right? Yeah. I think it's okay. I think Brazil's an okay B tier civ now, right? This is why they're not D tier anymore. I'll show you right here. This is the reason why Brazil is no longer D tier. They lost their slave trade and abolition mechanics, which at the time were horrible and really limited the Civ, in favor of the block training of 3 villagers at a time like Russia was using. And that is why Russia lost their access to that, because now it's going to be a Brazil Civ bonus and no longer a Russia one. Pretty much, yeah. What this does is it basically allows Brazil not only to have a reasonable price for training villagers that has worked for years with Russia, but now you can use multiple town centers again. Woohoo! Yeah. That was the big problem with the slave trade abolition system was you couldn't do slave trades from multiple town centers because it was a big button functionality, and thus, basically you were stumped, yeah. Now, if you get a second or third town center, you're actually rewarded for it rather than it just being a big useless stud to defend the villages with, yeah. That's quite good, actually, quite good, yeah. And then, as you know, Brazil's military is very solid, their economy is great, and their agriculture economy is phenomenal. And, of course, with every age up, you get a free agriculture wagon, which you can turn into a plantation, even in Age 2. And Brazil can build plantations in Age 2. That is pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, it really is. Brazil now with defensive civ that can, make some good military and really grow a good economy. I still think that they're going to struggle in 1v1s compared to all these other civs we have above, but they're going to do better than they were, and then in team games, they are great now. They're a great ally to have. As long as they are helped and everything and not teamed against, they will do great. Yeah, definitely. So what do we do with Bolivia? Bolivia. Good question, actually. What do we do with Bolivia? Just because I've seen Eternity use them up so many times before in such crazy ways, I don't know. Maybe we could put them. We could put them right here. Maybe. What do you think? Do you think an A tier Bolivia is pretty fair? War of the Republicatas build. They got one of the best great war ages in the game, being able to make a full army of native warriors and use all their population into tanks. Yeah, I think A tier Bolivia is pretty fair, I mean, they're not going to beat any of these S tier civs. They're probably not going to beat any of these guys, but they're definitely okay here, I mean, we could discuss some of these lower tier ones that. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think Bolivia is going to be better than Greece and Hods. Usually. Now, I don't know about Mapuche and British, but I'm going to just assume for now that they're up here unless you have any objections to it. Yeah, basically. Belgium. Belgium will be... Let me see. Belgium will be A tier, right? A tier Belgium. Definitely ahead of these ones. Any of these other ones, probably you. How about any of these other ones? I'll put them behind Bolivia. Why don't we do that? We'll put them behind Bolivia. You know why? Because I feel like what Bolivia does with the War of the Republicatas build, probably going to be a bit stronger than what Belgium can do in Age 2. The other thing that makes Bolivia and I guess the Belgians pretty similar is they have a lot of wacky, unique units too. And so it gives them an advantage. On the Bolivian side, it's mostly going to be their native units kind of contributing to that, and also some of their local units like the Francotirador, which is a mounted crossbowman they can use, which is a pretty unique skirmish role on a horse that gets them a lot of good performance. Of course, the Colorados, but I think in the case of Belgium, they get the bicycle infantry, the war elephants, the the police elephants and the militaries machine guns. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. I mean, I think there's a lot of A tier and S tier civs that beats Belgium, as we saw during the latest casted game stream. I think even Brazil destroyed Belgium, right? Colombia, ya bonito. Henderson Gizier, do you have a suggestion about Colombia? Should we move them up, move them down? I'm willing to hear any suggestion about that. If we could put them, maybe we'll put them ahead of Brazil, perhaps. What do you think? What do you think about Colombia, son? Gran Colombia, what do you think about? Good where they are? Put them ahead of Brazil? Put them behind Central America? Where did they go? I mean, I don't see them going much farther up than that, but who knows? Sky's the limit, right? Yeah, basically. We'll see. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Austria-Hungary. Last time we had them here, right? Something like that. Soy Venezuela Simon Bolivar. Oh, nice. So you're Venezuelan. Juanito Venezuela. Oh, that's cool. Juanito Venezuela. That's fine. Just like Rommel is. Yeah, Rommel's Venezuelan too. Venezuelan Rommel. Yeah, so what's your perspective on the current Gran Colombia Civ? Do you like them, not like them? Think that they did good? Think there's any suggestions they could add to it? I'm kind of curious. Primera Cristo. Right. Yep, got that. Alright. So my reasoning for S tier Austria-Hungary is they're about the same as they've always been since the last patch we put them up there, and I don't think they've gone down at all, so there's really no reason to mess with that too much. Probably not, right? Yeah, no. Yeah. What to do with Australia? The Aussies. Aussies... You know what? I'm going to put them into the D tier. Because of how unflexible they are. Yeah. Yeah, Australia's probably more of a D tier civ now that I think about it, Yeah, that's probably going to be the case, I feel like. Yeah. Yeah, probably. D tier Australia, definitely. Because before I considered them to be C tier, but now I sort of realized that, Danish are probably a lot more easier to control than the Australians are, and a lot more flexible, because Danish at least has a European common roster that they can fall back on. Australia, in their factional, unit choices, doesn't always help us in every situation, right? It's very limiting. And of course, I think Australia, unless you're on water, is one of the weaker Anglophone civs. Yeah, one of the weakest economies too. Because USA gets extra tax, and then Canada just gets really good home city options. So yeah, I think we are going to put Australia in D tier, but we'll put them ahead of Maori though, because they don't have as much glaring wounds as the Maori civ does. So yeah, I just feel like. Yeah, if you're playing Romania or Danish, you're going to be a significantly better experience with those than you will with Australia on average, yeah. You have to play them really well and be in the right circumstance for them to feel better than that, yeah. Probably. Yeah. And Argentina. Huh. Now, here's an interesting one. What do we do with ARGs? I feel like ARGs... I want to put them either here or here, one of these areas. Um. Okay. I might put Argentina here. You know why? They got their economy buffed really well to the fact that it's much easier to get herdables now than it was before. And to fit the butcher's card in too, which I think made a huge difference. I guess before what the problem was that So what do you say in metal? So what do you think about ARG? Do you think ARG is probably gonna be, well, let's see. Do you feel ARG is what do you think? Is this good for ARG? Like behind Portugal, perhaps? Yeah, that might work. We might be able to put them behind Portugal. Because Portugal would technically be more defensible than ARG would, right? Yeah. Let's put them behind Portuguese. So what, ahead of Ethiopia, like here? Okay. All right. All right. Let's do it. If you think that's good. I kind of get your point though, because ARGs do get some good unique units like the Horse Grenadier, the Infernal, the Patricio. So yeah, that's why I considered ARGs to be like S tier. They had a great food economy and they had some good military. But you're right. There is times when you get pressured as ARG in early game by Cappy or someone and you struggle. So yeah. But here's the question though: do you think that Austria-Hungary is really better than Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing I'm thinking about. Like, I might take Austria-Hungary down here just because I don't really feel like they're better than ARGs. Yeah, what do you think? What do you think about that? I'm just saying, is really Austria-Hungary really that good? Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what to do with AH, honestly. Yeah. Yeah, I just feel like, yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think that's good because Argentina just gets such a good food economy once the butchers is activated that it would be really dumb to really stick them any lower in the A tier than right at the tippy top of it. Yeah, that is true. And USA, let's put USA. Let's put them right here. USA can go right there. Yeah. They lack early game musketeers. They lack any really solid early game anti-cavalry besides spearmen without the really good anti-infantry of like Korea. It would be a total pathetic joke to even compare like Myeonggyong Korean archers to Louisiana Tigers or the Leathernecks. That is like an absolute joke of a situation. So yeah. I mean, I don't think USA can. They're definitely, I think, better than Australia. They're exponentially better than Australia and more reliable, but yeah, they just lack the average usability that all these B and A tier civs do. If you get a really good situation where they're going heavy infantry assault, USA does great wonders for you. And if they, there's just too many dependencies on USA, I think, to do well. Yeah, basically. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Any USA enjoyers that think that they're probably better than that? I'm just, I'm going to keep USA in C tier. If anybody can prove them to be worse and that they're as bad as Australia, I could throw them into upper D tier. Who knows? But, yeah. And the other USA, this will represent the incomplete Persian civ that you can play in the current version of Wars of Liberty. They will probably I'll put them right here. Let's put them right there. This will be the Persians, this will be the USA right here. This is USA, this is Persians. Because basically what Persians and Wars of Liberty have right now is they're basically the Ottoman civ, but with the Portuguese home city. They can ship cazadors, line infantry, and halberdiers, and then they train janissaries, abbess gunners, and cav archers. I've seen them humble Colombia pretty well, so we'll just stick them ahead of Colombia for now. And if you have any experience with the Persian civ, to put them above or below, definitely put your stuff in, and we'll definitely consider moving them up or down, depending on what you think. Yeah. So there you go. That's everything. That's the whole tier list done. And what about like almost 2.5 hours, right? Yeah. So how are you? What do you think? What do you think? Anything we need to change around? Any objections to anything you see on the list here? Anything we need to swap around a bit? Any ways we can tweak it a bit to make it look good? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think we've been pretty optimistic about civs overall, I think. I mean, look, B and A tier have 2 rows. So we respect a lot of these civs and their usage. Yeah, definitely. But that's to say that, the Wars of Liberty team has done pretty good at balancing their civs. Yeah, like only 5 civs we really considered to be C and D tier. Only 1 civ is in the Varingo tier. And then another civ is in the Gaygyp tier, yeah. There we go. That looks a little bit nicer. Varingo Rainbow OOS. In true Varingo fashion. There we go. Any objections at all to anything or any questions of why we put things in the way that we put them? Or are you 100% fine with it? You 100% fine with what you see here? Like, you would not change a single thing about this whole list, and maybe move one to the left, to the right, up or down, or anything. Yep. Alright, so I think if that's good, we should be good with this tier list. I'm going to download it now, and I'm going to post it up so people can look at it, alright? Thank you for coming to the stream. We got a good tier list this time. Hopefully we'll see you again when Middle East gets released at some point so we can do this all over again, alright? Sign off now. See you next time.